Hey, hello, welcome to the Replica program. This is a new podcast that we're starting where we're going to be interacting with guest characters from the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I'm Blue, and that's where you will
I'm
say
Mark.
And
Okay.
today with us, we have the current voice of Jiminy Cricket, Mr. Joe Ochman. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be on the first episode. My gosh.
Yes,
Cool.
Yeah.
you're going to be our
That's right.
inaugural guest.
Or
It's very
guinea pig,
exciting.
the case may be.
Yeah.
Experimental animal.
Yes, you are our guinea
Experimental.
pig. I hope you have a good constitution. I'm just now realizing that I already
What?
closed out of the
The doc.
yeah. Give it to me again.
Oh,
Super
God.
professional. Good start.
Yes, very professional. I sent it to you on email,
You did.
so you
Okay.
should log into your email.
Always work
And
with
you're like,
professionals. That's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah. This is a
They
very professional broadcast, as you can all see,
they
ladies
tell
and
you
Then
gentlemen.
why did you bring me on? Are you insane?
they
No.
tell you don't work
We are
with
very
children or animals in show business, and unfortunately, you've got both of those things today, Joe.
Yeah,
I'm the animal.
unfortunately.
Also a child
And I'm
animal.
the child. I guess.
All right. So for
There's
those
just
of
got it.
you who are not big Kingdom Hearts fans, just as a quick preface, Kingdom Hearts is a series that blends uh, Square Enix characters, which is like Final Fantasy and The World Ends with You, with Disney characters, and it's a video game. You know, everybody's a CGI model, so there's a lot of voice actors. We decided that we wanted to start off with voice actors, doing a few interviews, but you know, once the series starts gaining traction, we may interview programmers or uh, various department directors or whatever we're able to get.
I would
So,
love to have voice directors on. I have certain voice lines that I want to quiz them on and ask why. Just why?
why did you
You
do
know,
this? It's so
why did
bizarre.
you do that, man? Why? Why didn't you have Sora in Kingdom Hearts 3 say, silly bear? It's like, you were
No,
so
but that was
close.
sweet though. Why wouldn't they do that?
It should have been silly old bear. That's how it goes.
Oh
Have you not
well, I
seen
get
Winnie the Pooh? That's so
Christopher
close. Like,
Robin
come
doesn't
on.
always say it the exact same way. It's not like the sword Donald Goofy do
Yes,
it.
he
We're
does
we're
every
getting
time.
we're getting too into the weeds. It's fine. So
That's
Already
what we're here for.
and you're already in the weeds.
We're already in the weeds, man. That's what we
uh,
are. That's
so
how
all
we
right.
found this cricket down here. See?
That's where we live. We live in the weeds.
So,
Yeah.
Joe, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
My name is Joe Ochman. I hail from Connecticut. I've been an actor of various sorts for over 40 years now, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. Uh, I just had a birthday. I think I still look younger, but yeah, I started out in stay on stage, and then came out to LA to do film and television with no idea of doing voiceovers at all, and then kind of blundered in anime, which was kind of cool. I got
Nice.
sucked into anime, and I've done a ton of anime. I've done a ton of video games. I've
Gonna
done
say.
I've done a lot of TV, and
Yeah.
yeah, live TV, and
So,
I got to do this.
It's awesome.
yeah, I was actually gonna say about
Oh,
that.
oh,
So,
cool little sidelight thing. I should tell you, I also direct theater. I also coach actors, and one of my coaching clients is Dave Bautista.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
ooh, that
yeah.
is
That's pretty
so
cool.
cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I will be honest,
Hey,
I
so
didn't do a whole lot of research going into this. Mark
yeah,
did the lion's share of the
I did
research,
a
so
little bit.
I'm kind of excited to hear all this.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
Dave.
I did a
Dave.
little bit. I went on behind the voice actors and I was scrolling for a while. You have a lot of voices, and I was shocked to see fucking William Price as one of your
Oh yeah.
characters. I don't know if Blue's ever played Life is Strange, but in
No,
Life is
well, I
Strange,
played like the first 2 hours of the first game.
oh well, then you wouldn't know William.
You
Uh,
wouldn't even have gotten to me yet.
yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
I'm
I'm
heartbreaking,
not gonna spoil who William is,
but I'm
but
heart.
he's like one. He's one of the most important characters in the whole game. The whole
That's
game wouldn't
all.
have happened if it weren't for William, you
I'll
know?
tell you what. I
He's
will
very
go and I
pivotal.
will replay.
Um,
I will start the series proper now,
yeah,
just for you, Joe.
do it.
Thank you. I
Do
appreciate
it.
that. Of course. It really
I
is a good
played it.
series. It really is a good series. It's really good.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good
Yeah,
things about it. It just I wasn't in the right headspace at the time to get into that sort of game. Was
It
all.
it gets
really
a lot of
changed
flack.
it changed the way games functioned in a way because the decisions you were making were emotional decisions on
Mhm.
almost every
Oh yeah.
level, not fighting decisions or how escape decisions. It was emotional, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it breaks your heart.
And
and I
funnily
love that.
enough, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody here or the audience. I'm pretty sure Life is Strange is a Square Enix property. So I'm pretty sure
I'm
they've worked
pretty
on it.
sure, I forget, but I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm
Huh.
pretty sure it is.
Yeah,
I
I did not know
I
that about it.
remember seeing the title of it when I was playing it. I was like, oh, it's the same thing as Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts. Cool. You know. And obviously it's nothing like it because it was made by the English studio and not the Japanese studio. But yeah, it's the same company, which is really cool.
That's pretty
Anyway,
interesting.
yeah, William Price is awesome. Let's get to Jiminy Cricket.
um,
Yes.
Um,
So, how
oh,
did you
him.
get your
how
role
did
as Jiminy?
yeah?
It was a standard audition that came through my agent, and
Hmm.
it just what happens is your agent just basically sends you a bunch of stuff, and at that time you went into the agency and recorded in their studio. Now everything's done at home. We all record our auditions at home and send them in. It was sort of at the beginning of that. Excuse me. um, and I got the audition, and the only thing that was special about it was Jiminy Cricket. And I went, oh wow, this is kind of cool that I got this. And I will say that I worked a little harder on it than I worked on some other stuff,
Oh, okay.
just because
Right,
I wanted to
special character. Yeah,
well, yeah, special character, and I figured there were a lot of people that could probably really nail them, and I wanted to. So I worked pretty hard on it, and then it
yeah.
did sent it in. Didn't hear anything for a few months. Then they called me back and had me come into studio and do a little stuff and work on it a little bit, and then there was a wait time, and then they offered me the role. So it was all pretty much the way things happened, standardly.
Cool. What's the first thing that you recorded for Jiminy? Was it Recoded?
It was Recoded.
Oh, awesome. And and were you aware that you were dubbing over someone else or did they
I
just like you?
Well, the process for Kingdom Hearts is that you're dubbing over the Japanese, because it's originally recorded in
Right.
Japanese.
Right.
So
Okay.
and I didn't know that until I got into studio that I'm going to be recording
Okay.
over the Japanese.
And
So you
So
probably have some
and
I didn't know,
experience
I didn't know.
yeah.
doing that though, with if you've got history with anime, right?
Yeah, it made it easier. As a matter of fact, it's a little easier than anime because they can stretch the time frames a little bit in a game. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not quite as you don't have to be quite as exact.
I've noticed that they
Yeah.
will a lot of times edit the lip flaps in the
They
game
do.
depending on the regional version of it. So
They absolutely
the
do.
mouth is moving to match the voice rather than what happens a lot of times in anime where they have to alter what they're saying to match the mouth
Yeah,
movement so
yeah,
it comes
exactly.
across more natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I remember it taught in the
I believe they told me
yeah.
that they will be able to match the mouth movements to your voice. So
Yeah.
don't
I'm
worry.
sure.
Well, that's good.
I do remember hearing that some of the games were done not like that. I don't know if it was the early games or not,
It would have to be the
but
early ones because that was the ones where
yeah.
they had their very plastic like kind of when it wasn't like the
Yeah.
cutscene model, when it
Which,
was the
by the
game
way,
model.
Yeah.
Joe, I don't know if you noticed, but the first time they used a real moving mouth and not a PNG mouth was Dream Drop Distance, which was the actor before you, and then Recoded in K3 was. It's very interesting. The 3D model finally has like a skeleton to move his mouth, whereas before it was just a classic PNG,
Uh-huh.
which always bugs me. Yeah, yeah.
You
Um,
guys know
Um,
you guys know that stuff intimately. I don't.
I know. I
If I
know.
was
yeah,
I
a
realized that
it's
as I was explaining
gamer,
it.
a fan, I would never leave my house ever, and no one would see me. But the pandemic
Right.
did anyway. But but
true.
Thanks.
That was a great
That was
time to
just
get into Kingdom Hearts, and honestly, in the past few years, there have been a sudden surge of like people on YouTube like I'm playing Kingdom Hearts for the first time, which is very
oh yeah.
exciting
It's
because
just
it's okay. Might be the first hot take. Kingdom Hearts is my favorite video game series. I know a lot
why
of people.
why is that your favorite, if I may ask?
It's just got a deeply seated emotional place in my heart. I mean, look, at the end of the day, video games, you want them to be fun, you want them to be engaging, you want them to be interesting. That's all par for the course. And for that, there is a lot of games in there. But so when I go to see a movie, like as an example, years ago in 2017, I saw the movie Logan.
Yeah.
And I came out of it, and my friend Gene, who was there with me, he asked me, what would you rate that out of 10? And I was like, I think by the very nature, I have to give it a 10 out of 10 because it made me cry. And
Yeah.
if it's making me
Extraordinary.
cry, that means I cared about it enough to overlook any kind of issues that I might have with it.
Well, let me ask you this. Now that I'm the interviewer, just put him there. I mean, is it?
You up here now?
Is it the familiar? Oh, look at that! Is it the familiar? We should do that. We should just like every time we switch roles. We should.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Anyways,
That'll be our running gag.
My question is it because of the familiarity of the Disney characters, or is it or the Square Enix characters, or is it the emotional content, or is it a combo platter?
So from what I understand, the experience that a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans have is that when they first start Kingdom Hearts 1, it's the Disney stuff that sort of draws them in because that's where the familiarity lies. They love those characters. Aladdin and Lion King were big for me because I was born in 91. So those were some of my first movies that I saw. And but I didn't actually start with Kingdom Hearts 1. I started with Kingdom Hearts 2, and I already had some knowledge of Kingdom Hearts going in because of things like X-Play.
Or a big book. No, never mind.
I did. I had the Prima Strategy Guide, and I read that because I didn't have the game yet, and I wanted to know what was going on. So I already had some familiarity. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, the first characters you see are all Kingdom Hearts original characters. Roxas, Hayner, Pincelette, and then there's some Final Fantasy bit characters. Literally the only character from the first 4 hours of Kingdom Hearts 2 that I knew was Vivi from Final Fantasy 9. Who I love.
trying to think who the first Disney characters you see. I think it might be Donald and Goofy in the intro.
That's barring the flashbacks.
Or Mickey. Right, yeah, barring flashbacks, yeah.
So for me, I developed an intimate familiarity with the original characters of Kingdom Hearts, and I quickly started falling in love with what they were going through. I wanted Sora to be able to find his friends, and I wanted Roxas to be able to get a chance at life because God, he deserved it, man. There was
cool that it was an emotional connection more.
It was. So for me, Kingdom Hearts, it especially titles like Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, like the numbered ones especially, they hit so many of they're just fun. They're super fun to play, and that's the number one thing for video games. But outside the fun factor, I have fallen in love with these characters, and I almost look at them like you would at your children. Like, I want the best for you. I want you to be okay. I want you to be safe. I want you to be happy. And so that's what Square Enix has got their little hooks in me, man. Because now every time we don't quite get the perfect ending, I'm like, I got to go forward. I got to play the next one so I can see if they're going to be okay.
Yeah,
that's smart. That is smart storytelling.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and was one of the best things about Kingdom Hearts is that you come in looking for either Final Fantasy or Disney, and usually you come out caring more about the actual characters than those guys. I'm not saying you don't care about the Disney, but yeah,
that's a testament to how well they're written, because it could have been so easy for them to rely on the more familiar characters to use them as a crutch. And in fact, in Kingdom Hearts 3, I know people were asking Tetsuya Nomura, the series director, why was there no Final Fantasy representation? And he just went, I didn't think I needed it anymore. I felt that people were now familiar enough with the Kingdom Hearts original characters that I didn't have to rely on them.
Too much, gave him pressure, and then he gave in for the Moonlight, which I think was a stupid idea, but that's okay.
I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan, so I was fine with
it. Right. I don't hate Final Fantasy, guys. Don't kill me in the comments, please.
That was the intro to make the merge. And then the original characters spun off, and look at me.
They've become more of their thing, because I think there was only 4 original characters in the first Kingdom Hearts game. It was Sora, Riku, Kairi, which is like the 3 main kids, and then it was Ansem, who was the antagonist of that game.
Yeah.
They were the only original ones. Everyone else was either from
he
Final
forgot about
Fantasy.
Sora's mom. How dare he? Chat. How dare
Oh, I'm
he?
sorry. Okay, that one voice
You get
line.
fight amongst yourselves. I'll just sit.
But then from there on, in games like Chain of Memories and Kingdom Hearts 2, they started throwing in more and more and more and more antagonists, protagonists, side characters that mean next to nothing, honestly, as much as we might love them. I'm looking at Hayner Pinsonolette, and look, I love them.
You're right. But
They
how
don't
dare
do a
you?
whole lot though. But
no, right.
so now they've got a diverse enough cast that they can rely on those original characters telling their own stories with some Disney backing. Obviously, Mickey is still a big part of the game. Sid, all them. Jiminy, he's the only non-Donald and Goofy Disney constant companion for Sora.
That's true.
He's been with Sora thick and thin.
Yeah, he's been in that hoodie.
Yeah, hiding in hoodie.
So getting back
one
to
of my go ahead.
No, if you're going to say something, it's fine. I was just going to ask the next question.
I was just going to say my personal favorite cutscene involving Jiminy is a scene that you might not even like get why it's funny to me, but it's a very long scene in Kingdom Hearts 3. You voiced it that. Where Jiminy.
Cool.
Yeah. So what happened was
Giants here. If you like mine best, I'm happy.
I'm not gonna say that. I want to get the other guy in here one day. Okay.
Let's not pit them against each other. Come on now.
They're both awesome.
It's not a competition. You know,
not a competition, but you did replace the other guy. I'm kidding. Okay.
I'm staying out of that.
I'm kidding. Anyway, my favorite cutscene with Jiminy is where he only talks near the end, and it's when all the characters are in Jensen's tower, and they're all talking. They all just got reunited, and they're all talking, and then Axel, the guy with the red hair, Joe, if you don't know, the guy with the red hair, he's like, "This is insane about getting memorized," and he's like ranting about how confusing the series is. He's kind of breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, he's like,
and
the
all of a
plot of
sudden,
Kingdom
Jiminy
Hearts
just pops out onto Sora's head or something. He's like, "What the fuck is that?" He freaks out. I just thought it was so funny because it's like, you're right. Nobody has seen Jiminy except for those 3.
Yeah, he just hangs out in the hood.
Most of these characters have never met this.
They've never met him.
Yeah. It's just so funny to me. And another thing that I love about Jiminy, real quick, before we go to the next question, is when I'll explain to you, Joe, what happened. Sora at some point, everybody dies.
What game are we in? What game are we in now?
We're still on Kingdom Hearts 3, okay? Everybody dies, and Sora's in this ethereal world called the Final World. And then once he breaks out of that world and he's able to save each of his friends, and he's kind of going, not crazy, but he's kind of like, what do I do? Everyone's dead. And Jiminy, of all people, is still with him. And I have a theory about this. I think Jiminy, when he's attached to someone, he's able to kind of like maybe not materialize. I don't know where the hell his body goes, but I don't know if he's actually in that hoodie the whole time or not. But that'd be kind of funny if he was. I do like to think that
Sora does. It'd be amazing, but
it's weird because it's almost like maybe he really does somehow become part of Sora's conscience, literally, and that's how he survived that.
So
I don't know.
When you get a writer in, you should ask that question.
I should, yeah.
The way I saw it was just that because Jiminy was in Sora's clothes, he was considered like equipment. So when Sora got like revived, he didn't get revived naked, right? Like he had all of his stuff with him.
Yeah, that's true.
Jiminy was just returned there, and he's just like,
that's true. Yeah, it is kind of funny, but either way, it just makes me
I'm
me
learning a lot
smile thinking.
to know here, so this is cool.
Yeah, right, yeah. It just made me smile, makes me smile every time I see that scene because I know every streamer and I watch stream like the series for the first time is like, oh, and it's like I'm just sitting there like, I think I know, and
So
it's the only
since
way it
we're
makes sense to me. But
so
you
since
know,
we're talking about cutscenes, the next question is,
yeah,
Joe, have you played any of the games or watched any of the cutscenes in your free time?
Well, as I said, I am not a gamer
Mhm.
because I would never
hmm
leave my. I would be have things glued to me that push buttons, and it would be
right,
foolish. TV addict. I'm enough of a TV addict. It is, but I have watched a lot of cutscenes. I've watched a bunch of them, and
yeah,
Mark very kindly sent me a lot of stuff I didn't have, just so I could see, watch the things, and it was fun to watch. It was interesting.
mhm,
I'd seen a little bit when the game came out. Of course, I mean, some of us actors are of two stripes. There's the oh god, I don't want to hear myself, or I don't want to watch myself. I can't stand the thought of it. Or I got to see this. I got to see how this came out. I'm of the
yeah,
second variety. So I
yeah,
went. So
that's
I went
great.
looking for cutscenes of William Price and cutscenes of Jiminy and I like to see what I did.
I
So
tend to be of
Yeah,
that.
sometimes you see it and you go, "Oh God, I saw," and there's other times where you see it and go, "Wow, pretty good." You know,
yeah,
I tend to be of that second variety as well. I have all of maybe like two or three listeners to my other podcasts, if I'm being like completely real right now. But I do listen back to my own episodes sometimes. One, a lot of times just because I'm checking the audio quality and seeing if things sound
yeah,
good, obviously. But another is because when I'm like weeks or months or maybe even years removed from an episode, hearing what I was saying to my co-hosts almost sounds like I'm listening to a twin or something, like someone who's very
yeah,
similar to me but not exactly the same. Because sometimes I say some out of pocket stuff, and the present me listening back to that will just be like, what was I thinking? Why did I?
right,
yeah.
yeah,
That makes sense to me. I mean, it's funny because we as actors, and I think we as people, don't always know the impact we have on the world,
yeah,
or we don't know how people respond to what we do, and because we're usually insecure, our thoughts are going to be that it's going to be a bad response, or it's going to be
hmm
a I don't care response. So yeah,
yeah,
every time I do a convention, I'm shocked when somebody comes up to me and tells me that some obscure anime I did changed their lives, and I don't remember doing it.
yeah,
We don't know the impact we have. So I think it's a good idea to go back and listen sometimes,
It is.
yeah,
It's a good way to chart your growth, your progress, and just
yeah,
even the little accomplishments we make. Like you said, we don't always appreciate the things that we do, and we 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 tend to minimize our own impact on the world around us in our minds, and that's a good way
yeah,
to be like, you know what, this was really good. I did do a good job on this, and I'm proud of myself.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's
yeah,
important for your mental health to check in like that every once in a while.
I agree with that.
and yeah.
I did skip over a question. Were you aware of Kingdom Hearts at all before being hired?
I don't think I was. I mean, I try to remember whether I'd heard of it before. No, I think I think when I found out what I was doing is when I found out what it was.
All right.
hmm
Um,
Okay.
Actually, the first time I heard of Kingdom Hearts was on a TV commercial. I remember this so vividly. My childhood home, we had the kitchen and there's the playroom, and there was a counter between the two, like a half counter, and then like an empty door frame. And I would sit at that counter eating breakfast. I just remember one Saturday morning, I was eating cereal and I was probably watching Yu-Gi-Oh or something, and um, the TV came on, and this was in 2003 or four, and they were advertising Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance. So I just remember seeing like they did the Game Boy Advance like border for the screen, like, oh, here's a Game Boy Advance, and then the actual footage on the screen, and it was playing. I don't know if you've heard "Simple and Clean." It's like the original theme song of Kingdom Hearts, but it was playing like the slow.
I'm sure I've heard it, but I didn't know the title.
It was playing like the slow, more melodic version of it, rather than like the like bubbly pop version that plays in the intro. And it had just these pixel graphics of like this weird anime boy with spiky hair, and then Donald and Goofy were there, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" And then in the super
Mm.
deep voice, the guy just goes, "Kingdom Hearts, singing of memories. And I was like, what? Why does this sound so like epic? But then it's got goofy goof.
I think that was.
Mhm.
I think when I finally saw what it was, I think I went, "What the heck is this?" But with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
like kind of cool.
That's exactly it, because it's like it's got this very confusing mismatch vibe to it, but it's one that makes you innately happy. You're just like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, and it sort of
Okay.
draws you in immediately.
I
I love that
vibe.
about it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome.
So what were your thoughts on the cutscenes that you like you said rewatched in preparations for this? Was there anything that popped out at you, or something that you learned from it?
Well, I mean, I learned a couple of things. I learned what happened going into Recoded, which I didn't know.
Hmm.
That was kind of fun. I saw some lovely emotional work by my illustrious predecessors that was really cool, which I
Yeah.
was really appreciative of. I mean, since it was, I got confused by a bunch of stuff. Uh,
That's fair.
As you do.
Yes.
Even longtime fans get confused, trust me.
I was recently watching just a couple weeks ago watching scenes for the game Dark Road, and bear in mind I've been playing this series since 2006. I've got like a PhD in Kingdom Hearts at this point, and I still find myself going, "Huh? What are they talking about?" I have to like research it.
well, I don't feel so bad.
No, you shouldn't. It is widely known as one of the most complicated
Do
video
not
game
use the word
plots.
convoluted. I will punch you.
I wasn't complicated, but
Good. Thank
because
you.
here's the thing: a lot of people say it makes no sense. It does make sense. It's just one.
Oh.
There's so much information, and you have to piece it together like a
Yeah.
jigsaw puzzle because it does not give you the information chronologically.
Well, one thing I get from stuff and just from working on it is there's a core. You know, I always tell people in acting that you can create the craziest world you want as long as you ground it in a certain core of human behavior or human heart or
That's
human,
exactly what it is.
and it's Kingdom Hearts. And it's you know, they take the word heart very literally in that game. From what
They
I can,
do. It's a very emotionally driven series. Like the hard statistics, the hard lore, that all takes a back seat to the main thing, which is how does this make you feel? And
yeah,
all of the themes surround that sort of thing. Especially, there's a lot of mental health allegories. There's a lot.
I've heard that.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
as an instance, there's a type of character
There's
called
a
nobodies. And
yeah.
when someone becomes this like shadowy monster that the good guys fight, a heartless, what
Uh-huh.
happens is their heart becomes overtaken by darkness. It sort of ejects from their body, becomes wrapped up in shadows, and becomes a monster. So it's like a corrupted heart. But
Uh-huh.
the body that's left behind will sometimes still be alive. And so it becomes a person without a heart.
Like a zombie.
So
Yeah.
they're unable to feel. And a lot of times that's treated as an allegory for depression because they might
Yeah.
still get fleeting echoes of emotions. Like for a little bit, they might feel anger or they might feel happiness to hang out with their friends, but it's sort of like hollow.
Yeah.
That's emotionally complicated, and that's really good. Once
It
again, that's
is.
Yeah. There's a game that's focused primarily on nobody. It's called 358 over 2 days. Or 358 two
I think
days
it's
over two. However the fuck you say it.
it's 358 days over two. It's very
Well,
complicated.
let me ask you
Sure.
a non question. That's a Dave Bautista question. Did
Okay.
you see Guardians of the Galaxy? Have you seen the Guardians of the Galaxy films?
Yes.
When you saw the
I've
first
seen the
one-
first two.
When you saw the what was your reaction to Drax from an autistic
love him.
point of view?
I thought it was very
felt
relatable.
familiar.
Yeah,
Very
'cause
relatable.
he got a lot of kudos and a lot of
Oh yeah.
noticing the things there. It was very, he was very emotionally moved by that, how the impact that had. And no, I don't know if anybody thought of it, but it was nice to see that kind of impact. And once again,
I can absolutely see.
There's a lot of that in media characters where people will draw parallels from their own experiences to certain characters. So not just with Drax and autistic people, which by the way, in the most recent movie, he was revealed to be wonderful with children, which I love because that is one of our traits. Is that because we function typically different from people on our peer level, older people and younger people we tend to get along with really well. But also characters like I know that there's a thing where trans people identify with Danny Phantom because the idea of like his body changing and him becoming a different type of person, they tend to see parallels in
Reminds
that.
me.
Yeah.
There's a
So
guy out there
Good
that
story.
made
Good storytelling is finding core
Yeah.
emotional resonance that people can relate to.
Yeah, there's a guy out there that made a 6-hour-long essay on how Riku is gay. And it's I see it's do you know who Riku is,
6
Joe?
hours?
Yeah. I personally, as a straight guy, I've never once thought about it until I watched that video. And I went into it being like, really? Are we really gonna do this? And I went out being like,
there's some valid
yes.
there's
I
definitely
I
some
agree.
evidence there.
He's pretty gay. Well, at least he could be. I mean, who knows? I still love the character, but it gave me a whole new like, wow,
Perspective.
like
There's no reason
again,
not character. That's a
yeah.
wonderful. And,
Yeah.
Again, that's why it didn't resonate with me until I watched the video, and that's why I'm glad that video exists. I'll link the video down in the description.
the important thing
In
is
case anyone's
sometimes
curious, but
things
I
resonate.
forget the guy's name.
Things resonate in different ways to different people, and
Yeah.
and it's important when a group that considers themselves, that has experienced discrimination or has experienced, or like, just has experienced so much of being put off because of behavior, and to have something that you can key in on. Once again, I see this in conventions all the time. The people that come to conventions, the people that come up to your table, the people that you interact with are so happy to have a community in which they feel a part of.
Right.
That I think that's spectacular. That people are writing characters and writing stories where there are characters that anybody can relate to, marginalized communities can relate to, lonely communities can relate to, discriminated against communities can relate to, and everybody else can relate to, because that's the way you bring people together.
Exactly.
You know?
And on the whole Riku point, I want to say real quick. So I'm bisexual. So
I assume it resonated way more with you then before you even watched that video.
It kind of didn't.
No, that's interesting.
So the funny thing is, a lot of people are like, he clearly loves Sora, so it must be like a gay thing. And while I think that's completely valid, if that's the way you choose to look at it, one thing I love the most about Kingdom Hearts is that it does not harbor toxic masculinity. Our typical things of like, you're a boy, you shouldn't be crying or feeling all these emotions. Like, anytime Sora does cry, his friends around him will never be like, you should, like, the closest thing we get is in Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora cries, Heiner's like, pull it together. But he's clearly like saying it jokingly, and he's not being like, you shouldn't be crying. He's more just like, all right, come on, man, like, cheer up a little bit. It's not that serious.
A couple scenes
they
with
do not.
Donald and Goofy.
Jiminy cries and nobody says, "Don't cry, Cricket, don't cry."
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I always,
when Jiminy cries, you can tell Sora, and everybody's like, "What's going on?" They look really upset for Jiminy. Like they actually care about him, you know.
so what I always saw it as is just a guy being able to be like, this is my best friend. I love him so much, man. I care about him. I want him to be okay. I will try to move heaven and earth if possible to make sure my friend is all right. I think because a lot of times we put limiters on ourselves, right? We're like, we're friends, so we have to behave in this kind of way. I can't get too affectionate because then it might be seen as romantic or anything. But they're like, who cares what people see it as? Look, man, you're my friend. I love you, man.
Yeah, and it's very funny because I've learned over the past, as you get older, you discover that you should tell people you love them when you love them.
Exactly.
Whether it's a guy or a girl or a duck or whatever.
Exactly.
It matter. And yeah, I one thing I will say that watching the cutscenes, I did not get any sense that there was, this is purely this community, this is purely this community, this is purely anything. And I think what Blue says is right, is very true. Sora's coming from friendship. He's coming from the loyalty of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
people take it beyond that, go ahead. But that's the core of it. Because I love the people.
absolutely.
Hey, it's
And that
friendship, family.
that's one of the beautiful things about
Absolutely.
art too, is that when you don't lock yourself into hard lore, like Kingdom Hearts doesn't like to do that. I mean, there's definitely lore.
There's
There's
lore.
definitely
Lot
lore.
of
There's a
lore.
lot of lore. But they like to
That's just
keep
one
things a
book.
little bit more nebulous, a little bit more open ended, so it is open to artistic interpretation. And the fact that their relationship can be seen by like the LGBT community and be like, I think that they're in love in a way that could be like reflective of a gay
Yeah,
relationship. That's beautiful. I love that.
it's all right. I love it too. You want to know something? And this isn't. I don't want to delve too deep into it because I kind of want to talk about this more with David Gallagher or Haley Joel Osment. I would
He's just a
love
sexy
to
guy.
hear. Yeah, right. I would love to hear David. Like, obviously, I'm not going to make him sit through the 6 hour video, but I would love to bring it up and be like,
You would sit and you
did
would
you
watch
know?
the 6 hour video.
If you
Join
want to be
now.
part
You
of
have
our
one minute.
super high profile podcast,
Yeah, yeah. It's just you have to do it. No, better. Um, No, I would love to hear what he has to say, or Joel, Haley Joel, because because they voice the characters, whereas you voice Jiminy, so like you haven't seen most of the interactions of those
Yeah,
characters.
yeah. But
But like I
you
would
can
love
get
to hear
hints of
better.
closeness even in what I watched.
yes,
Oh,
most
for
definitely.
sure, yeah, you can absolutely tell. But like, there's a girl that's hardly in any cutscenes that you're in,
Don't
named
be mean to
Kyrie.
Kyrie. I swear to God, I will fight you over
I
this.
love Kyrie Blue.
Okay.
Don't
I'm
you
gonna sit
fucking
back and
worry. I
fight again.
Mom and Dad are
we're
fighting. I
fighting
should take
again.
a step back.
Gonna
Mom and
fight
Dad are fighting.
again.
We're fighting even though we literally agree on it.
I just
No.
wanted to make sure because
Yeah, no.
Joe, for reference, there is a certain aspect of the community where they think that one of the three main original characters sucks.
It's useless and sucks, and it's like
And I will
you know,
fight them to the day I die. I love
it's like
Kyrie.
I will let you know she is not a bad character at all.
She's wonderful. I
They
love
don't
her.
show her much, but she's not a bad character, okay? She's not. Yeah, no. Sora also shares a lot of deep you watched the fucking hell, the Chain of Memories cutscene. The Chain of Memories cutscenes. So this girl Nominee, I don't know if it might have been made clear in the cutscenes you watched, but Nominee was affecting those memories of Sora
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Kyrie.
yeah.
Yeah, so all those feelings of like I have to go save her, I have to, was him feeling that for Kyrie. It's just he thought it was Nominee. But so that kind of shows you he feels a lot for this girl as well, which is why, and again, this is a whole nother can of worms, but I think Sora, if you want to make it romantic, which I don't think it is, if you want to make it romantic, he could be bisexual. He could like both of them.
I
He
would love
could.
that representation. The B often gets
I
ignored.
I know you would.
True.
I knew you were gonna love that. But
I
of course,
I'm one
again,
of those super freaks that's like, why can't they all just kiss? Like all three of
right.
them.
Why
Like
can't they be a
why is
throw?
it gotta be two?
Why can't they all just get along?
Yeah, for real.
Can't they all just get along?
They can
Do
all
a
they can all be
three-way
married together.
kiss or something. I don't fucking know.
All
No,
right.
I'm getting too weird. Okay, let's move on.
So my next question, which by
Yes.
the way, I want to give credit where credit is due. These are not my questions. If you can't tell, my strong suit is having a well-flowing, casual, natural conversation.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not good at writing scripts,
Mark's
or
a detail guy. That's clear.
that. Yes, exactly.
That's very
This
clear.
way. There we go. So he's the one that wrote down these script questions, but he wanted me to ask
Yeah.
them because his throat is not feeling
I
super good
am
today.
I am unfortunately very sick. But I
Yes.
don't want to miss my first debut fucking podcast episode. I'm not gonna do
You
that.
have
So
some tea. You could get to
yeah.
Lou and I can talk while you get a little tea and honey. You chat.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I love that.
So what are some of your favorite scenes or quotes that you remember doing for Jiminy in the series?
Well, I knew that. Now I'm forgetting. I mean, I love just that whole first thing in Recoded, where he's walking and he's talking about everything, he's catching you up and stuff like that. That's a lot of fun. I love at the end of 3 when he pops up the hood, basically the one that Mark that you were talking
Yeah.
about.
I was like, what are you?
And it's just what was funny was I hadn't seen a lot of the Recoded stuff. I thought I'd seen all of it, but I hadn't, so that was kind of fun. I mean, I like playing Jiminy. Jiminy is just such fun to do, and it was fun hearing differences between what happened in Recoded and what happened in 3 vocally for me. That was interesting.
Yeah.
There was a little
I
bit of
could tell a small difference that you got older a little bit, like by like maybe 4 years or something, and also a bit more like
a little more
you're more
excitable.
used to voicing him.
I was a little
Yeah,
more excitable
but that's
and
okay.
a little more.
I love your recording of both games. I think you did great both times.
So
Did
can
you?
I?
I don't. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, finish what you were saying.
First podcast, guys. We're talking over each other like nobody's
We're
business. I'm
finding
sorry.
a
Okay.
way, everybody.
We're figuring out the balance. Okay, well, you're drinking, so I'll ask this real quick. Can I share a personal anecdote with me about Jiminy Cricket as a character?
Please.
My mom, my grandmother, I should say, I was raised by my grandmother. I call her mom. She was born in 1941. One of her big movies growing up was Pinocchio. So that was all always like I would see a lot of the classic like Disney VHS tapes or whatever growing up, and Pinocchio was not one of my favorites. I did not watch that too often because it was scary. The whole thing with the circus freaked me out as a kid. Did not like it.
I agree.
But I had a weird affinity with Jiminy Cricket, mostly because I had like a little plush of him. It was probably about this big, and I would carry him around everywhere. And so I'm originally from Maryland.
1940, so 1 year before high school.
Exactly.
That's when it came out. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here googling it.
Shirt says on it, my Jiminy shirt that I'm wearing today says Jiminy Cricket established 1940.
Yeah, see, there you go. We would vacation in Ocean City a lot for the summer, and I just remember one year when I was still really little, I brought my Jiminy plushie with me, and we stopped at a motel for a couple hours so that my pop, who was driving us, could rest. And then we got back on the road, and a couple hours later, I just go, my Jiminy plush, I left it back at the motel, and I would not stop complaining, and so we had to turn around and go back there, and by the time I got back there, it was gone, and I was devastated. I was heartbroken. And then cut to like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years later, my mom is taking me to a yard sale, and I see a Jiminy Cricket plush, and I swear up and down it was the same one.
Oh wow!
Imagine
and I was so excited. I was because my little like brain for details was going off. I was like, it's got this same little tear right here, and it's got this discoloration on this shoe. Wow. And I'm like, I think this is it. I think this is the one that I lost. And my mom's like, shut up, stop. And I'm like, what? Because again, I'm not aware of like social nuances. So she like pulls me aside. She's like, I don't want you saying that that's the same one in front of these people, because then they're going to feel that you're implying that they stole it. And I was like,
but they did.
Yeah. Well,
no,
maybe they shouldn't have taken it then.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my experience with Jiminy Cricket as a character.
But they did steal it, Mom. You understand?
I'm gonna beat them up.
When I got to started doing this role, when I did Recoded, of course I'm a child, so I started going around trying to find little Jiminy things.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
And was actually sad because there were so few.
Yeah.
The Disney store
was very missing.
The Disney store at Disneyland had 2 things, I think, or 3 things. And they just didn't have very much. So over the years, I've managed to collect some things as we go along. So I have a little collection.
Which is odd, right? Because you would think that they would push Disney as a sort of mascot character a lot more. Like he did the iconic "When You Wish Upon a Star," and he's a very small and cutesy and very easy to notice, like marketable sort of mascot character. But no, instead we're gonna have Tinkerbell in the Walt Disney logo for some reason. I guess because she can fly. So it's
You know,
wanna
we
do
can
that-
shit.
if they want to do
We
that,
can shit. We
are-
can shit talk Tinkerbell all we want because she doesn't have a voice actor that we have to interview. Yeah, shit talk.
I mean,
Anyway, no.
that's true.
It's
But
true.
does she not?
character, and Tinkerbell has a magic wand that looks really good when the logo is doing their logo thing.
Yeah.
Oh, like
Yeah,
that, like the Disney
whereas-
Channel one, like the glowy stick.
Yes.
You're watching Disney
Oh my
Channel.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's one thing
Yeah.
that I noticed that when I was watching, I rewatched Pinocchio in preparation for this, by the way. The
Oh.
original, not the remake.
Yay, Cliff
Fuck
Words.
remake.
Yay.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, I don't think I've ever seen him with his umbrella in the games. Ever.
That's true.
That's true.
And
Huh.
it's like, you know what? If he ever like has to fight or fend for himself, which I don't think ever happens in the games, but if he ever does,
Umbrella
wrong?
is a weapon in Kingdom Hearts.
Is it?
You
doesn't use it though,
for
does he?
for days. 358 over 2
Oh,
days.
right.
You can use an umbrella
Total
temporarily
teammate
as a
members.
weapon.
That's
that's
interesting.
I think
That's
it's for
cool.
I think it's for Shion because you can play as 2 characters in that game, which is what the over 2 is. It's the experience of these 358 days experienced by 2 different characters. So I think as Shion, you can use that umbrella because Roxas gets a stick in a very famous meme. Roxas, that's a stick.
Yeah, it's a very
He's just
funny
holding it like
meme.
a weapon. And
You
she's
wouldn't
just like,
understand, Joe. It's so funny.
because they normally have these magical key swords that can slay darkness and open any lock.
The key swords I know from.
Those 2
Yeah.
were sharing a keyblade temporarily, so one had to use it, and then the other had to have some improvised weapon. And he
He's
gives
like,
it to Shion,
revise.
and she's
Gets
like, "All right,
that stick.
cool. I got the magic key sword." He's like, "I'll use this." She's like, "Roxas, that's a stick."
That's a stick. What the fuck are you doing? It's really funny. And
But,
then
anyway.
you proceed to play the whole mission with a stick. It's actually really funny.
It's true.
You can't do any damage. I don't think. I'm pretty sure.
No, it's
that
like
it
the
doesn't
wooden
play any
sword.
damage.
It does no damage.
Yeah. There's no damage. You have to let the ally do it. Anyway, continue.
So,
Yeah.
are there any special fan interactions that you want to share?
I just had one recently. I mean, once again, as I've said with conventions, I mean, I haven't gotten a huge amount of reaction online, but occasionally I had a thing happen where I signed my very first Funko Pop at Comic-Con.
That's cool.
Nice.
They really wanted one, and I said, you go get anything you want me to sign, and I'll sign it. So they went down, and not only did they get me get a Funko Pop and have me signed, they bought me one.
Oh, that's sweet.
Which I thought was really sweet.
Yeah, it is.
That's really
kind of
cool.
courtesy.
Because I was searching for a long time for a Jiminy Funko Pops and couldn't find any anywhere because they were classics and they had been discontinued pretty much.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine, actually, Daniel Ross, was a wonderful voice actor. He bought me one for my birthday at D23, which was kind of cool. And then this guy bought me, so now I have 2, and they're different ones. They're completely different ones because they now have made a couple since when I was searching, and they didn't have any except for the classic one that I think is like
awesome.
7, Funko Pop number 7 or some ridiculously low number.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
long
really
way back,
cool.
because now they've got
That's really
like
cool.
10 million or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous. I believe they just made a Funko Pop of you 2 guys because your podcast is coming out soon.
Hell yeah.
Yes. And we're not going to see any of that revenue because we didn't sign the contract.
No.
No, we did not.
It's that brutal
Probably
business
never
practice.
will.
Well, that's the only.
Who knows?
It's the only character that I've ever done, and I've been at this for a while, that has a Funko Pop. It's kind of interesting that that's the only one.
That's pretty cool.
William,
not that you're...
a Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Well, now that you've said that, you willed it into existence because Funko Pop is constantly looking for anything to make I guess Funko is constantly looking for anything to make a pop of. Is the
Professional
terminology.
Harold McDougal from Red Dead Redemption does not have a Funko Pop.
I know. Get him one. Come on, guys. Get to it. Make William Price one while you're at it.
So
I guess we may as well make others. So.
Between the 2 games that you recorded for, it is 2, right? I'm not putting my foot in my mouth. Okay.
It was recorded.
Which one was your favorite one to record for, and why?
That's a tough one. I mean, that's it's sort of they both have reason to be favorite.
Mm.
Recoded because it was my first. It was my first. And 3 because it was the first one that was all me. That was me doing it for the first time. And Recoded, I recorded over some stuff, and then there was some new stuff added on. But 3 was entirely me doing my stuff.
Did you know? And I know I kind of asked this earlier, but I'm kind of trying to reword it. But did you know, even though you were recording over the Japanese actor, and you know that another English actor had done it before you, or did they not tell you until later?
I think they told me I'm trying to remember whether they told me they were replacing or not. I found out afterwards, but I don't. No, no, they probably didn't. Probably, my memory's a little shaky on that.
We'll add that to the list of questions to ask their voice directors if we ever get them. Yeah. All
Um,
right. That's interesting. I feel like you should tell people, but that's okay.
Yeah,
well,
Either
I
way, you did great.
they probably said something. I mean, because I do
You
remember
probably didn't do.
I was more like, oh my God, I can't mess this up. That I probably missed a few things, a few pieces of information, just because I
Yeah,
was
that's
literally
okay.
like, this is important.
Yeah.
when I was younger, I definitely operated under the assumption that voice actors went in to a role with like all of the information available. And
I
as,
do.
the more I learned
Oh
about it, the more I
no!
learned they know nothing.
Yeah.
They're just like,
You,
Walk
read
in,
this line, and you're like, okay, yes, sir.
Blue.
yeah, you walk
You
into
want
an
to know what I found out
What's
the
that?
other day?
know a video game or an anime says you know nothing because video games of course are
Yeah.
up the wazoo, but
Yeah.
also if you go in for an anime session, you walk in, they go, okay, here's your script, here's the character that you're doing, come up with a voice, okay, that'll do, go.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
I
that.
I
And then you got to do four
I
things.
have
You've got to
go
watch the
ahead, go ahead.
screen. You got to watch. I'm sorry. You got to watch the screen. You got to watch the time code. You got to watch the lip flaps. You got to watch the script, and you got to come up with a performance. So you're doing 5 things at once, and
Yeah.
you've never seen any of it before.
I'd be sweating.
And
Yeah, it's
you got to
terrifying.
you've got to imagine what the character before you, how the character before you said what they said, so you can try to match it as a reaction. Your what you do as a
Yeah.
reaction to something you have not heard.
Right?
Yeah. I just want to say one thing, Blue. Something that I did find very interesting the other day. I was siphoning through
You
Haley
can't
Joel
tell me
Osment's.
to know too.
No, I'll see you too. Don't worry. I'm just telling Blue as well because he brought this up. No, but
He's
like
special
he
that
was
way.
siphoning. I was siphoning through Haley Joel Osment's just different times where he's talked about Sora or whatever, and 2 separate times. He said it once, and I thought it was a mistake. Then he said it again, and I was like, "Oh God, he actually did this." Apparently, he said 2006 specifically. So Kingdom
Mhm.
Hearts 2. They sat him down and gave him a chart of the timeline of the series and told him about Birth by Sleep. And told him about distance. And I was just sitting there like,
Wow.
so some of the actors do know some of this. What?
Well, sometimes you
I,
do get a broad overview of what's going on with the
I
character.
guess if you're the
Good
main
direct.
character, it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, wait, how much information does he have? And of course,
And that
he's sitting
makes
there
sense.
like,
Jiminy
most of it
pops out,
flew over
does
my
some
head. I'm like,
exposition
oh,
and
pretty
goes.
bad.
Yeah, Jiminy
Yeah,
pops out, does some exposition, and goes hides again. But yeah, his that's such.
yeah,
If you have a character that has that kind of emotional weight and has that kind of length of time on a game, of course
yeah.
they're not just
It
going to make.
makes sense. It's just so weird to me because it was the first time I heard the contrary of what every single actor has told me, which is we don't know shit about our characters or what they're doing except for what we're doing. And I was just like, okay, how much does Jesse know? How much does fucking David Gallagher know? And now I'm curious, you know?
They really
Um,
went. Sora's our golden boy. We gotta make
yeah.
sure Haley knows everything. You voice a grasshopper. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'll send you a couple clips of that happening, Blue, and you can splice that in there. And then in
Okay.
return, delete this part of me saying to splice in there. Anyway,
Thanks for giving me
uh,
more work.
You're welcome.
That'll teach you being the veteran podcaster.
Right? How dare I?
Yeah.
Uh,
How dare you? How dare
So,
you have a
were
podcast
there-
for this one?
were there any moments during recording when you read any unintentionally hilarious lines or thought something was super goofy,
Yeah.
other than goofy?
Other than
Yeah.
goofy. Popping out of the hood all the time was kind of fun.
It is. I think it's a fun gag.
Here's
Yeah.
again.
I guess it's more of an animation thing than anything mentioned in the line of dialogue, but absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
well,
like, they
I
play
mean,
the video in front of you while you record, usually. Do they do that?
you get a little sense of it. They give you a
Okay.
little, yeah. So because sometimes that can affect how you respond. If you're jumping while you speak, it's oh, I got here. As opposed to I got here.
Let me hear it out. Yeah.
Yeah. You can add that kind of thing to it, and that's a standard thing in anime as well.
They did that with So I don't know if you've ever played the Spider-Man game from 2018. Oh yeah, you said you're not a gamer. I'm sorry. I swear I'm paying attention. But
Yeah.
There's real good listeners here.
it's the ADHD, man. I'm limited.
It's all right, man. Keep going.
But so they would have Yuri Lowenthal, who voices Spider-Man in that game, record so many lines that take place in gameplay, not in like story cutscenes. He would record them twice. Once for if you are just standing still or maybe walking on the street, and once if you're swinging. Because when he's swinging, he adds more exertion into the.
I've had that
I did
experience.
not know that. That's interesting.
I've had that experience where I've had to do them a couple of ways.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I like that attention to detail. It makes you feel a little bit more immersed in what's going on.
That's
like
really
it's
cool. Yeah.
I love it.
The real good game directors are very smart about that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, it definitely makes you appreciate the effort and the experience that they must have. Like that's probably something
because of the nature of the beast, the fact that we're walking and we don't necessarily know what we're saying or what we're doing. A really good director is vital because they're going to give you context. They're going to give you. And there's usually in any game there's a client there that can give you more. If the director needs some detailed information, the client will be there online on the phone or something to give some kind of detail too. So that's the way every game I've ever done has worked.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we go to the next question, I want to make sure. Did you answer the question? I don't know if I got us off track or not by accident.
We don't have to do things in order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, Mark, I'm gonna tell you right now, something I learned from my other podcast is that sometimes you just gotta let things go where they go because it's gonna work much better for everyone.
Anarchy.
All right, let's keep going then.
Anarchy is good.
It is. I am down with the man.
Down with the man. Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into all that right now. Those are like my.
I love men.
Those are.
I'm not gay.
Those are like my
Those are two contradictory statements.
My you ever see like the Manchurian Candidate? Is that it? Like those are my sleeper cell trigger words. Like anarchy. I'm just like all right, so have you ever felt emotional when playing Jiminy during certain scenes?
I feel emotional with Jiminy all the time because I'm doing Jiminy.
That's fair. Is there anything that stood out to you where with whatever sort of limited information you might have had about what was going on, but was there anything that really resonated with you?
That's a good question. I mean, I think without having a lot of information, I still got caught up in the heart of what was going on, and the fact that everyone's just trying to connect and help their friends and save the day, and of course, I mean, in terms of the journal, if your life's work is doing something and somehow it disappears like a plushie.
Yeah. Oh, whoa! You just made that so much more personal for me.
It's
now I like.
Damn, man. Damn.
That has impact. Yes, we all. You get to be my age, and there is something to be said for legacy and connection, and people wanted to know that you did some good while you were here, and then the people you love, and that and they're with you for as long as they can be with you, and and you don't want anything to happen to them, and that's universal, and that's in there. There's some moments, certainly some moments in 3 where that happens, and in Recoded that happens for Jiminy.
So one
And
of
there's
the
a moment where there's a moment that I remember in Recoded that I know nobody cares about Data Sora or Data Rika because they're Data. Nobody cares. But Jiminy genuinely has a moment where he's like, I really don't want to say goodbye to you guys. You know what I mean? Like, he genuinely is like, I'm gonna miss you guys. I know you guys aren't real, but it's just sad. I can't remember how he says it, but
which is all very
And I kept
existential.
looking for places where I could bring something deeper in. I wanted to found
yeah.
places.
And you can tell he cares about the real Sora, and therefore he cares about this other Sora. Because to him and to Donald the Goofy, especially Donald the Goofy, because their minds were so simplistic, very Disney era simplicity, where they're just like, "Oh, they're all Sora. Who cares about details? They're all Sora to me." You know what I mean? Like they don't care. It's Sora. So therefore, now that he's going, we care, and we're going to show emotion. So I always thought it was like one emotional scene in
Yeah,
Recoded. I can't think of any others, but
yeah,
While
that's
with Jiminy specifically.
while
Yeah.
you were going off on that, I might do like an edit if I feel like it. Just like a slow zoom in on my face and like slow transition to black and white because I was definitely thinking about existentialism while you were.
I can tell. I can tell you were kind of zoning
I was
out
just
there.
like, but what does it mean to be real? What if there's multiple
I
versions of
know.
us? Would you
It's
care
like,
about me?
oh God.
you're gonna have to do an echoey voiceover where you're
I do.
asking a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a guy that we know who's been playing through the Kingdom Hearts series, Corn, who does stuff like
Yeah.
that, and it's always hilarious.
Yeah.
So I might
It's
take a picture
very
of his
funny
butt.
when he does that. It's also
Um,
very funny whenever something like big happens, he always puts I think it's the Organization 13 theme, and you just know he's about to go off, and you just like and it like goes in black and white and it zooms in closely. It's really funny. Every time I'm like, we're in for a 5-minute ramble, aren't we?
yeah.
It's
So
really
the
fun.
next 2 questions, I feel like they're close enough in spirit that I can sort of connect them. Um,
Hmm.
I'll ask them at the same time. In other words, did you ever have any
Sure.
real say in what the character does or says in a given moment, or did you have a suggestion that they decide to go with? And what voice lines, if any, are improvised on your part?
Nothing's improvised. It was all very specific scripting. And sometimes, actually, no, that's more anime than Kingdom Hearts. Sometimes to fit stuff into a dub, you have to change language a little bit, but I don't think we did any.
Yeah,
And I mean, once in a while, when you're an actor and you do something, and I'm sure I did it on this game. I say, wait, can I try that just a little differently? I want to try to put it at a little spin on the line. And then the director, a smart director, will usually let you do that. So I'm sure there was a little bit of that. But other than that, no.
yeah. I kind of figured that might be the case because I know Disney is extremely
They're strict.
specific on the output
Yeah.
of their product, and they
They're
want
very
things.
nice,
With the classic
but
characters,
strict. Yeah.
sure that those characters are
Oh
true to
yeah.
that they're true to what they
Very good.
to everything they do, and they're very
Okay,
close about that.
Blue, I need you at that moment to cut to Mickey and the organization to come being like, "We'll pay for this." I need that moment to cut right then because it would be
There's
funny.
so
Um,
again, there's a whole meme genre with Kingdom Hearts, and Mickey
yeah,
is a part of a few of them just because of
because
how ridiculous it
Mickey
is.
does some things that you would never see him do in any other medium ever, and
Say,
it's
fellas,
amazing.
did somebody say something about the door to darkness?
Oh my god,
Like that's a actual thing. Like just hearing him
it's
say these
so funny.
edgy 2006 goth kid words, and then
It's
cut to
really
him, and he's wearing
funny.
like a black cloak, and he's like he's got the angry
It's the
eyebrows.
PNG face, yeah. It's really funny. And
It's
it's
just
Wayne Outline doing it too, which makes it even funnier. It's not an
Are
impressionist at all.
there any
It's so
Jiminy
funny.
memes? I've never seen any. I've never seen.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's the keep it to yourself, which earlier when we were talking about emotionally impactful
oh,
scenes
yeah.
was what I was thinking of. So it's not you, but it's from Chain of
It's
Memories or
Eddie
Re Chain of
Carroll, I
Memories
think.
specifically.
Eddie Carroll.
Where because in that game Sora's memory is getting manipulated. Again, he's caring so much about Naminé and everything. He's getting more and more like, we got to go up this castle. We got to save Naminé. And Donald and Goofy are like, okay, hold on. Maybe we should slow down. Before you entered this castle, you didn't even know who she was, and now she's all you care about. Maybe we should take a second to. And he's like, so you don't want me to save her? And they're like, we're not saying that. And she's like,
I care. One of my
yeah, and he
favorite
runs
lines
off.
ever.
And again, because Jimmy's the only one that stays like on his person, he goes up to the next floor without Donald and Goofy. And Jiminy goes, Sora, that was no way to treat your friends. And he goes, keep it to yourself. And Jimmy's just like,
She was like, it's really funny.
and I was just like, Jiminy, no.
Like, we know obviously Jiminy's not gonna like take it too personally, but because they're still friends after that. But it is funny to see them argue for that moment. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's the only meme. The only other meme I know, and you might not like this show, but I think it's kind of funny, is that there are two specific people that run a different podcast on Kingdom Hearts called the Ansem Report podcast. And they do not like Jiminy at all because they think he is really annoying and he's all he does is spout exposition and stuff. And I'm just sitting here like, I like Jiminy.
that's like
And
half the
every time I
characters in
hear them
Kingdom
rant about it,
Hearts. So
I'm
what, do
just
they
like,
not like Yin Sid? Like,
oh, they love Lane Jensen. I'm pretty
oh, so
sure. I'm kidding. I
they're
don't know.
hypocrites.
They
I
just
don't know if they actually love Jensen. I don't know. Don't put that. Don't put that in. I don't know. But I always thought it was that's the only other meme I know is that some people like the meme on Jiminy because he like half the time is doing exposition. But
yeah.
to me it's like it doesn't matter if you're doing exposition. It doesn't make you a bad character. It just makes it is a fault of a writer when they maybe not a fault of the writer, but it's a fault of a series that's ongoing for so long. You have to have some exposition for the newcomers because there are some dumbasses that'll play Kingdom Hearts 3 before the other games, right?
That was the thing that was
So
happening. Well, okay, so that specifically happened a lot with Kingdom Hearts 3 because up
yes,
until
and it was
Kingdom Hearts
Mickey
3,
actually that did it a lot more than Jiminy, if you ask me. Mickey did
Yeah.
it a lot in that game.
I would say Yin Sid is the exposition machine for the series typically,
Oh,
especially in Kingdom
in the
Hearts 3.
series,
But
yeah.
so Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were both playable on the PlayStation 2. And all of the remakes and remasters came out on like the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
A lot of the side games that would eventually become part of those remasters were things like the PlayStation Portable, Nintendo DS, stuff like that. So Xbox didn't get anything, and then for some reason they were like, Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And so Xbox users were like, oh, cool, I've heard of this Kingdom Hearts. Seems like a wacky little series. Maybe I'll buy it and see what's going on. And it's one of the most story-heavy like video games ever. So of course they're just like,
They're sitting there like,
no
I
clue what's
want.
going on. Yeah.
Like, there are so many people that are just like, all I did was walk 5 steps, and it's another 5-minute cutscene. I walked 5 more steps. It's another
This is
5-minute cutscene.
characters that I don't
And I
know
hate it.
talking
I hate
about
it. I
this
hate it. It's like,
situation
dude, shut
I
up.
never saw. And it's like, yeah, you have to play the other games. And they're like, so I have to play 2 other games? 9 other
No,
games.
9. 12, you're into mobile games.
It's really funny because my friend Gene, who I mentioned before, when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, he was like, I'm thinking of buying it. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize you played Kingdom Hearts. He's like, yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm like, define ready for it. He's like, I played 1 and 2. And I'm like, okay. So I wound up having a 3-hour phone call with him describing the plot of Kingdom Hearts. Because I was like, you can't just go in with 1 and 2. You're going to be like, what is this black box? What are they talking about with the Datascape? What are they? Yeah, I'm like, there's like 7 other games. I got to tell you what they do.
There's so many. Yeah. It's amazing. And
so,
but yeah, that's the only real meme I know. By the way, Mike and Jay, if you're watching, we love you. You're awesome. And I bet even Jiminy loves you, even though you ate him for some reason.
Wait a minute.
Anyway, continue.
Have you ever met any other Kingdom Hearts voice actor when recording for the games? And have you recorded, like, I guess, in the booth with anyone ever? is that what you were getting at with this one in the booth? Because I assume you don't just mean have you ever recorded with anyone?
No,
I mean,
I mean, like, have you interacted with any maybe offset or onset? Like,
I mean, I know a bunch of the actors. I mean, with people I've been working with for years. But in studio, you're alone. You're all on your
all
own.
right,
I've never had any interaction with anybody else.
I would
But yeah,
assume most video games are like that. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I could go through the list, the cast list. Like, oh yeah, him, her. Yeah, I know tons of them.
right, right.
I know there are some video game instances where they'll have more than one character in the booth together. Like I think with the God of War games, they would sometimes have Kratos and Atreus recording together so that they could bounce off each other more naturally. Um, don't
I have never
don't
had.
quote me on that.
I've never had a game where I was recording with anybody else.
All right, fair enough.
Anime, in the old days with anime, you used to do Walla sessions, the background voice sessions with a group of actors. But then that stopped, and they started just doing. You would do the various group things as part of your single session.
That's
Okay,
interesting. Yeah,
and
because
they
I
could just
know,
like edit them together.
Yeah,
yeah. So I don't know if you're what's the word, aware of Transformers the Long Show, but in
I was in Transformers: Robots in Disguise. I played Hightower.
It's awesome.
I
I love
actually
Transformers.
remember that. I remember reading that. I completely slipped my mind. I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. I should have brought it up earlier.
You failed.
I failed. I'm sorry. I'm a
It's
Transformers fan, I swear.
okay.
I have
It's
so many
not
Transformers, you
a
have no
little
idea.
little
Anyway,
little note. When I was going to do one of
I'm
my very
embarrassing, Blue. I'm sorry.
convention appearances,
Mhm.
I was researching my Transformers things because I wanted to have some information. And it turns out that on IMDb they had somebody else, and on Wikipedia they had somebody else completely doing all my episodes. They said somebody else did it. So I corrected it on
IMDb is
IMDb.
so dumb. Yeah.
I did it on IMDb, and they took the correction. Wikipedia would not. I would put the correction in there, and then it would come back. And it was still the other guy. So,
It's so dumb.
so maybe you did. Maybe you just didn't know, Mark, because it was the other guy.
Maybe.
But I even went back. I thought, did they replace me? And I went back and I saw all the episodes on YouTube, and no, it was
Yeah.
me.
No,
Uh,
yeah, IMDb is very unreliable. That's why I use behind the voice actors, even though they also sometimes make big mistakes, but like they're not like that is not the right actor. It's more so you didn't credit this actor. You said it had no voice actor. They had one line. You just missed it because you didn't watch the actual show. It's something like that.
I like that.
I'm
Actually,
sorry, I got really ranty there for a minute, but
you did.
there are specific characters that I have emailed again and again and again behind the voice actors like, is this meow? Sorry.
I do just want to say real quick, by the way, that wasn't me being embarrassed by you. That was me being like, it's really funny that you're getting way more serious about this than
No, it is funny because I mean I woke up today being like I'm gonna be quiet this time because I have a sore throat and I've
That's
been
not what
talking a
happens
lot
when
more
I'm
than
here,
anybody here.
baby. I bring
I
that
the
ain't
know,
energy.
that ain't happening, Mark. But
No.
that's
I
good.
know. So
See,
I
because I
hope
can.
I'm not that much
Blue,
louder when I'm not sore
you
throated
were back here. I
and
didn't
your
know Blue
water.
coming. So you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what's really funny is that like he told me he's like, oh yeah, so this guy's an older gentleman and he works with Disney. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll be a little bit more low key to like sort of ease things. And you came in and
Hey man, the first
immediately
thing
were
you
matching
said.
my energy. I'm like, yes, this is awesome.
You have to be careful. It's fine because like I know
Both have blue shirts
God
on.
What's that?
yeah.
Both have blue shirts on.
We do. We're a part of the same
Yeah.
team, and then this dude over here wearing red.
I'm Utah Utes, baby.
You did not
Nobody
get the.
here knows what that is, but I am that. No. Um no, that is one thing that I was kind of careful about because like there are certain people that I want to have on this podcast, like Catherine Meow or however the fuck you say her name. I'm so sorry. But she's in her either her 80s or her 90s. I can't remember. But she is very old, and there's zero way I can contact her without getting involved with like Disney and like because I don't know. She doesn't have Facebook or Twitter because and
Sorry, who
she
was that you
obviously
were saying? I
voices
didn't. Who was that you were saying?
Catherine Mount. She voiced
Oh yeah,
Alice and Wendy from the
yes,
classic Disney movies.
yeah.
And then she voiced them again in Kingdom Hearts 1. And then she voiced Kyrie's grandma in Birth by Sleep.
Wait, is that
Uh,
also her?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was
I'm
only
assuming. Well, yeah, I
it
guess
was
that'd be
only
just super.
8 years later, and you can tell she's way older. Like that's why they had to recast her and Recoded. By the way, Joe, you're not the only one that had to recast someone for Recoded.
I
Um,
did not.
they had to they had to voice. Well, I guess it's not exactly true. Catherine didn't do Alice in the DS version of Recoded. The DS version of Recoded had just text bubbles, but for the remaster, they had to get a new actress,
Well,
Kanan Wall,
see,
someone.
this is where it
Alice
starts to
Wall?
get kind of confusing because with their naming conventions. All right, so like for instance, Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance, it was a pixel art game, and then they made
Yeah,
Chain of Memories 3 years
yeah.
later for the PlayStation 2. They
There
completely
are
remade the
three
game.
versions
So
of
so
Recoded. Yeah,
so you would expect a similar thing with coded versus recoded, but there's technically 3 versions of it because the
yeah.
original Coded was a mobile game on like flip phones
Yeah,
in Japan. Then it was
I. Yeah.
Recoded, which was a game that was
DS.
on the DS, and then they did Recoded, but only as a collection of cutscenes for
Yeah,
the
or
2.5
2.5
remaster.
HD
So
remix. Yeah,
so they're both called Recoded, but
yeah.
there's
But it
differences
is
between
a
them.
remaster. Yeah, it's
And I'm
very
only
interesting.
in the cutscene one.
Right.
Yep,
So
yep.
they should have
It's
called it
very cool.
Recoded if they wanted to.
Recoded. Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
like
That's
like
one of
an
the
email.
funniest.
I always thought it
That's
was
one of
Ray
the funniest
coded.
moments
You thought it
in
was
the
what?
opening of Kingdom
I thought
Hearts.
it was
Go
Ray
ahead.
coded, like
Oh,
about
Right on it. That's funny. One of my
because
favorite moments
because
in
of the
Kingdom
of the
Hearts.
because of I'm sorry, Mark. I keep
A
cutting you off.
semicolon?
colon.
Because of the colon, yeah, the colon.
Yeah. It's okay.
Colon is
It's
my
okay.
favorite organ.
What that's referencing, but okay. Um,
I just said it. I wasn't
uh,
referencing anything. I was just making a
wait,
dumb joke. Like,
wait, hold on. Is there an actual organ called a colon? I didn't
Yeah,
know this whole time.
yes, there
Am
is.
I,
yeah.
I'm
And when
supposed
you
to
get
be
older,
a
you'll get
biologist.
You never heard
when
of
you get
colon
older,
cancer?
you have colonoscopies and they're fun.
I can't wait
Ooh.
till I start those.
Yes, indeed. I have three.
I hope my old Montessori teacher doesn't see this. Oh gosh, she's gonna be so upset.
You edit it out.
Anyway.
No, it was like I had to gauge for a second there whether or not you were doing a bit, and as soon as I realized you were being genuine, I was just like,
Like, oh god, he's actually an idiot.
"Oh, this is my
Hey,
No,
hey,
co-host."
you offered me the opportunity to edit things out if I want to. I'm offering you the same opportunity, Mark. You can save yourself
all right.
from
I
this.
don't know. I can, but it's also
Well,
funny.
I have
So
I have a secret for you guys. I don't actually cut that much stuff out when I edit, so
that's okay. That's okay. It's
he
okay.
keeps
As
he
long
keep-
as you're
Joe. He keeps being like, "Oh, you should cut this part out, or you should do this," and I'm just like, "Yeah, okay."
yeah, yeah, sure. No, no. As
I'm not afraid
if
of
he's
you.
gonna keep all the parts of me saying cut this out, and he's gonna zoom into my face to make sure everyone knows he wanted this out, right? This. Whoa. Yeah, that's what he's gonna do.
Look at
Anyway,
what a
I
goof.
think I've
yeah.
embarrassed myself too much yet today, so I think I'm okay.
I think you are
No,
coming out of this looking the best of any of us. If I'm being
you
completely honest with you.
absolutely are. You absolutely are.
Oh,
What I was gonna
yeah.
say was my favorite, not my most favorite, but one of my favorite jokes in Kingdom Hearts 3 that not many people really get is when it's the whole intro and then it ends and it says Kingdom Hearts 2.9 and everyone's like, what does that mean? And I'm just like, Nomura knows. Nomura knows how crazy
Oh,
these
he's definitely
games
fucking with
are.
us. Yes.
He's fucking us, yeah.
It's just really funny because
So funny,
there was
yeah.
there's a lot of jokes made about the naming conventions of the games. They do have pretty wacky names, but
Yeah.
because with the remasters they were leading up to Kingdom Hearts 3, so it was the 1.5 remaster, the 2.5 remaster, and then they did the 2.8 final chapter prologue, and it was like everyone's like, why 2.8? It's like, I guess
Yeah.
just to signify that we're really close, guys. We're really close. We're finally going
We're
to
really
Kingdom Hearts
close.
3. And so everyone was like, I don't know, man. There's a whole 2.9 that's still in between there. And so he was like, okay, so for the whole Olympus section, I'm going to make that 2.9.
2.9 is really funny, yeah.
Not that this is all
Is it-
math so it's going completely over my head.
I
That's
gotcha.
okay. That's okay.
Math.
Anyway,
Let me try to
math.
get
Who cares about math?
let me try to get through some of these last questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long do you plan to play Jiminy for, and do you hope to keep voicing him in the future?
The answer to that is as long as they'll let me. Yes, please. More, please. I
Love
love
that. Love the enthusiasm and the dedication. So
Awesome.
you kind of answered this already. The question is how much of, if any, of the lore did they explain to you at the time of recording any games? To which I'm pretty sure it's little to none.
Yeah,
None.
not much. Yeah, mostly none. But
You probably had no idea. You were telling me in the messages that you had no idea the significance of the Jiminy Journal until I told you. It's literally a main menu thing and
no,
keeping
because
track of everything.
I was doing little small bits of exposition-y stuff for the most part. So you
Yeah.
don't feel like you're and actually when you look at 3, there's a lot more in Recoded than there is in 3, and
Here's what you're in. Yeah.
yeah. So this part of me, I just keep going. More, please. I'm over with
Yeah.
more, please.
We need
Please,
more.
more, please.
Love it.
Yeah.
So so those all the questions that I've asked before are sort of general questions that we can ask to anybody, but Mark has also prepared some more personal questions.
Oh, has he now?
Yes.
Yes.
In your mind, was there ever a time where you felt Jiminy was out of character?
No, they're so good and so conscientious about making sure about about honoring the character as you all the characters as you know them. You know,
It's
Yeah.
Disney's definitely got this thing of they put a strong stock in animation legacy, Disney legacy
the
specifically.
Disney characters, the classic characters, it's very, very
Very protective. Yeah.
devoted. They're devoted to keeping them,
Yeah.
to honoring them and their legacy, and their moving forward.
Yeah. Am I glitching out? Okay. No, I'm not. Sorry.
I think that was. Did you guys see
Everything
my light
froze for me.
flickering just now?
You glitched for a
Yeah.
second. Blue
Yeah,
glitched.
you glitched, and then Joe moved a tiny bit, and I was like, okay, either I'm not glitching or you are. And I was like, okay, what's happening?
Full
Anyway.
disclosure, there is a storm that's blowing up the East Coast, and
Oh,
it's been
great.
raining for us today. So,
Yeah,
It's all right.
or storms.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I love them.
Get those
So,
grassy fields or what slept in them water. Yeah.
We had
yeah,
the first hurricane we've had here in decades, and in the middle of it, there was an earthquake. We had a
Oh,
hurricane.
God. That's an
wow,
earthquake or something.
Hurricane.
that needs to be the next
Earthquake.
disaster
Yeah.
movie. I feel like we haven't had one since, what was it, Geostorm or whatever?
Yeah, we're due for
Wait,
a movie.
Geostorm.
Love a good
That's the
disaster.
DC Comics character.
There might be a movie called that.
All right. Anyway, so
I have a question that I wanna pop in before you say anything else.
of course,
I
go ahead, my
forgot.
friend.
I am so sorry. I forgot. I forgot to put this in, and I know for sure it's not anything that is like terrible or anything. It's just a question. But
That's
yes, hope so. No. My other question was I already know this, but for the audience, has there ever been another time where you voiced Jiminy outside of Kingdom Hearts?
um, I I think I can say yes to that because I am the current voice of Jiminy Cricket. So yeah,
Okay.
I've done
Okay,
Remember, we got
because
to be specific with that wording, Mark.
yes.
you remember that. I'm very sorry. Yes, the current voice of Jiminy Cricket.
Uh, yeah, I've done. I voiced him in the Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse.
Yep, that's what I
And
remember.
years ago, I did a Disney on Ice, which was fun.
Oh,
Really?
nice.
And I did a
Cool.
couple of theme park things
Okay,
for
makes sense. Yeah,
not for Tokyo Disney and for Paris Disney.
I'm assuming that those Disneylands are uh probably in their own specific languages. Probably, yeah, that
Well,
makes
I
sense.
don't speak French and I don't speak Japanese, so
Yeah, makes sense.
I can say
Yeah,
extremely basic phrases in Japanese,
extremely basic phrases.
and like things that literal toddlers would learn, like
Oh,
"Watashi wa blue desu."
I have no idea what that means.
I
It just
went
means I am blue.
I went to Japan once
Cool.
for the World's Fair. There was a World's Fair in 2005 in Japan, in Aichi, Japan, and the American Pavilion had this big multimedia thing with rain and all this other stuff. And Ben Franklin was the main character, and I played Ben Franklin.
Oh, that's cool.
And then
Cool.
so I filmed it here, but then they flew me to Japan to do some appearances at the pavilion, where I basically rode around on a Segway and did silly things and signed autographed Ben Franklin cards. And my preparation for going to Japan was to learn a couple of phrases, learn a couple of things. And the first word that I learned from the language thing that I chose, that was supposed to be a quickie language thing, the first word you learn is sumimasen.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
Or
excuse
me.
Excuse me. So that's the first word I learned in Japan was sumimasen.
Yes. All right. Yeah. This is also going to show a little
You
bit
can
of
edit
my.
that if you'd like. Sorry.
This is also going to show a little bit of my age range and my international ignorance. But were they still doing World's Fairs in 2005?
2005, I think, was the last one.
Okay. For whatever reason, I assumed it was earlier. So Mark probably doesn't even know what those are because he was a little bitty
Nope.
babby when.
A little mini Mammy. I had no idea what
they were
those were.
like,
I didn't know what a Kingdom Hearts was. I didn't know nothing.
Every 5 years, and I believe it was every 5 years, a country would host a World's Fair, where all these nations would make up pavilions, these very fancy pavilions, and it was like a fair. It was like a big.
That's
They go to
cool.
pavilions,
Mark.
there's rides, there's like a big park fair, like going to Disneyland. It's that kind of thing, except it's completely international.
It was sort of a celebration of the country's achievements and progress that they made in the past 5 years. Mark, have you ever seen Iron Man 2?
I've seen all the MC movies.
The
Even the
Stark
bad ones.
Expo. The Stark Expo is
Yeah.
heavily based on the World's Fair.
Yeah, the World's Fair was very much based on technological achievement. Epcot Center is sort of an offshoot of a World's Fair. I believe what became the Epcot Center was originally something that they did at the New York World's Fair in '64, maybe even. But
And
yeah,
a lot of times when you
Dang.
see footage, like fictional footage of retro futuristic kind of thing, like this is the car of the future. We'll soon be operating engines off of baby powder. Stuff like that. That's all based off of like the super classic World's Fair.
I won. The only time I ever won a big stuffed animal, a plushie of my own, was at the '64 World's Fair, because I'm old, where I did a dime toss and won a huge panda stuffy, which is still sitting around somewhere. Although stuffing's mostly.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
See how
all
we
right.
bring everything around? We're so clever.
Yeah, right all around.
So
Everything's connected.
between the main SDG trio, Sora, Donald, and Goofy, who do you think Jiminy likes the most? What the heck kind of question is this, man?
I was just thinking, like, in that one cutscene in Kingdom Hearts 3, where Jiminy is like on top of either Donald or Goofy, and they're like kind of like, yeah, Sora's kind of dumb, isn't he? Kind of silly.
Oh.
And then Jiminy's just like, no, he's not dumb. He just doesn't think. And Sora's like, I'm standing right here. I can hear you all. And I was just like, does Jiminy's like having a bro moment with these other two that we never see him interact with hardly ever. I'm just like, what is his what would his opinion be on
The
those three?
thing
Does he prefer one?
The thing I can think of is he didn't live in Donald or Goofy's hood.
Yeah. He obviously feels super comfortable with Sora. He's always like laying against his back and everything. Jimmy is practically spooning Sora at all times. So like they're close. They're close.
Very close. They're bros,
Bros, they're buds.
So the final question that he has on this list, which apparently might be a thing that we just do all the time. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Now you see, there's a question where if I had known if that question could be a show in and of itself, because where you guys are experts on Kingdom Hearts, I am an ice cream expert.
Oh, we got a connoisseur
and
here.
a appreciator of ice cream and very fussy about my ice cream.
Oh boy.
So favorite flavor all right. Favorite flavor was, but unfortunately they've ruined it in my estimation. McConnell's every Christmas time. McConnell's ice cream is a Santa Barbara based ice cream company.
Okay.
So we're going to go into the weeds now. You guys have put me in the weeds. Now you've done it.
Yes.
Now you've done it. And McConnell's between November and December every year, between Thanksgiving and Christmas every year, put out an eggnog flavored ice cream.
Okay.
That was the best ice cream and the best eggnog I have ever had in my life. But I guess sales were, they decided to put a snickerdoodle cookie ribbon in it the past couple of years. And it's just not as good. I like that ice cream so much, even the snickerdoodle one, that in November or December, I will buy 10 or 12 pints, put them in my freezer, so I will have them all the way through until next Christmas.
That's what I'm doing.
So, right, there's still one.
That's really cool.
One left sitting in my freezer. So that would have to be my favorite. My current favorite is I'm brand. I'm giving credit to brands. I tend to be very pure about the ingredients. I don't want a lot of chemicals and a lot of crap and a lot of. So I'll tend to go for organic ones, or I'll tend to go for ones that are simple. Like Breyer's vanilla is very good because the ingredients are very simple.
Mm-hmm.
There's a company called Strauss that makes really good organic ice cream, and then McConnell's I like a lot. Those are sort of the current faves. But there's also out here. There's a whole bunch of ice cream places to eat at. So I will.
Nice.
I will do tours. So there's just so many flavors. The McConnell's Golden Vanilla, which is essentially French vanilla, which is vanilla with eggs in it.
Right. Oh, is that what the difference is?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay. I never really knew what the
like
difference
frozen
was.
custard. That's like frozen custard, which is frozen custard. Okay. I can go on that for
Awesome.
you. Get me on this tangent. Hour and a half show about
That's right. All three of us have had our tangents now. We're all equal now.
Well, this is our first episode with this. So I'm also going to answer this question.
This is
I
good.
will also.
Okay, for me, again, it's brand specific, kind of like what you were saying. I haven't had it in years, so I can honestly be aware. I don't know if they still make it anymore or anything like that, but I will say it was Edie's brand, French Silk ice cream, which is
chocolate. It's a milk. It's a chocolatey one with sort of chocolate.
So it's coffee and vanilla swirled.
Oh, no, I gotta go. See, no, that way. See,
Coffee and vanilla swirled with big chocolate chunks in it.
Yes.
I'm a chocolate guy, and I think that chocolate can enhance most things. And I don't know. See, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but the main
coffee
reason for
ice
that,
cream. Yes. Coffee.
Yeah, because
I'm with you, Blue.
Solidarity. I'm shaking your hand through the screen. So I don't really like hot drinks because for me, again, there's certain things with like flavor and texture and just mouth feel in general. With my autism, I get very picky, and with me, when something is hot, I taste the heat more than I taste the actual thing, and so hot coffee, tastes very bland to me as a result because I'm just like, it's really hot. I'm only getting little sips at a time, so I can't really relish the flavor. But like cold coffee, I'm like, okay, this is getting more palatable. I really like this, depending on what kind it is. But when it's in ice cream form, I'm like, this is it. This is the best version of this treat.
How are you on mocha?
It's all right.
You said
the one he said mocha. He said it because William Price likes mocha. He talks about mocha in the game.
That's true.
Sorry, I'm a nerd.
You are a nerd, and you've disappeared off camera.
Yeah,
I
he sunk
have,
down.
because we're talking about ice cream, and I realized that this conversation is coming towards me talking about my favorite.
Oh, you're right. Of course. Remember, you're the one that came up with the questions.
Oh yeah.
I
We
did,
need
but I
to
have
know.
a reason for it. I
You
have a
must also
reason
bear
for
this
it.
cross.
What's your reason?
I know, but the reason why I brought it up, I don't know if you know, Joe, but ice cream is to
Big
this
thing in Kingdom
day,
Hearts.
yeah, to this
It's a
day,
what?
it is the only thing that we see a character on screen eat,
You see
and
it constantly.
very constantly, everybody eats sea salt ice cream specifically.
So there's a big thing. So remember earlier I described nobodies, they're characters who have
Yeah.
lost their hearts, and they so a lot of nobodies still retain their memories of when they were somebodies, when they had hearts, when they were people. But I mentioned this character a few times, Roxas.
Yeah.
He has no memories of when he was a person because he's Sora's nobody. Sora very briefly turned into a Heartless in Kingdom Hearts 1, and he generated this nobody, but he sort of was given a new temporary body, so he's fine, he's just Sora again. But because he was a Heartless for such a short period of time, the heart is what holds all your memories. Your bonds with people, your emotional connection to them, the place that you lived, all that stuff. All your memories are in your heart. So the Heartless are like mindless creatures. So the memories sort of like go from the Heartless to the nobody, and they start to like, okay, this is who I was. This is what I felt. I can't feel these things anymore, but I at least remember it. Sora was a Heartless for maybe like 5 minutes. So Roxas is like barely a sentient creature when he's first made, and so he has to get taught a lot of things. And so when he's learning what friends are, his only real point
He's
of
a literal
reference,
baby
pretty
in
much,
a 14-year-old body, basically.
his only point of reference is that every day after work, he goes and he eats ice cream with his friend Axel. So he's like, so this must be what friendship is. So they really hammer that point home. At the end of every one of those 358 days, he's sitting on a clock tower eating ice cream, and usually he's hanging out with his friends while doing it.
Here
We all know how.
Two things. Here I was thinking when you asked that question, it was just one of those questions that people will ask as an independent thing at the end of a podcast, just to get some strange response from the guest, but which of course I provided.
Yes.
But
Thank you.
But no, it's related to your theme, which I think is great. Although my response to that is the brain is sitting there going, "What am I, chopped liver? The heart memories? What am I for?"
The brain is not mentioned much in the series. It's basically they're like the human being is made of 3 parts. It's the body, it's the soul, and it's the heart. And yeah, like I've also thought like, what about the brain?
I'm a brain.
A brain.
Doesn't
Does Sora not have a brain? If you play this, don't find out.
What's really funny
I'm kidding.
What's really funny too is that they're very specific when they say heart. They mean the metaphysical manifestation of your emotions and your memories and your bonds to others.
There's literally a scene.
Which lives in the brain.
We're not saying the exact same thing. Yeah,
there's only one time in the series where the actual blood pumping organ is referenced, and so you know Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So Davy Jones in those movies, he's got the dead man's chest. His own heart is in this chest, and the only way they can kill him is by like stabbing that heart. And so there's a character that's like, so this is a being that can live without his heart, but he's not a nobody. Very interesting. I want to see more. And like later on when the dead man's chest gets opened, he's like, oh, that kind of heart. Oh, I don't care then. That's not the kind of heart we talk about in this series.
Yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, I want to see what different voice actors say, because I know some of them might know about the sea salt ice cream. For example, I know probably none of them are going to actually say sea salt. I would be very shocked if anyone did, because sea salt's very rare.
Salt, or is it sea salted caramel?
Sea salt.
It's
so okay. To be clear, they're also not really eating ice cream. It looks like they're eating popsicles. Like it's got a popsicle stick. It's frozen. It's not creamy. And it's like sky blue, and they're just like munching on it.
Yeah. They literally bite into it. It looks like it's gonna hurt like hell every time they do it.
So I'm sure it's a popsicle, but they say sea salt ice cream, so that's what I have to call it.
And therefore, it is ice cream. Yeah.
Popsicles are made of ice cream or ice milk. So there you go. Which brings around to the important thing that Mark has not yet answered.
I was going to say, Mark, you're not getting away from this. What's your favorite ice cream?
Well, that's why I was shrinking down earlier, because I realized I wrote myself into this moment.
Yes, you did.
I've only ever had ice cream one time.
That's an interesting answer.
It is interesting, yes, because I'm a very autistic. I'm not very autistic, but like my food, what's it called?
Your palate.
My opinion, my food palate is very limited. You know, I like lasagna, I like oatmeal, I like very simple stuff, like cream of wheat. Maybe I like bananas or apples or whatever. But like things that are very hot or very cold, lasagna being the exception, I don't like usually.
Interesting.
It usually hurts my teeth. It makes me feel like I'm gonna gag. It's weird. But I have tried ice cream once, and it was just a normal. I think it was like it was vanilla, but it was kind of pouring on vanilla. But they had some chocolate, not chocolate. They had chips in it, and I don't know what it was called.
Probably chocolate chips.
Yeah, it may have been chocolate chips because it wasn't like brown completely, so it wasn't like complete chocolate, but it had that mixture of vanilla and looking stuff, and I liked it. I thought it was fine. Right, so
I,
I
I think
guess
though,
that's my favorite because it's the
I
only
think
one I've
though
had.
you've only had it once, so that you have nothing to judge.
Yeah,
But figure it this way, I think we're pretty well balanced here. Blue is very bland, specific. You've only had it once, and I've had so much ice cream; it's scary. And
yeah,
thinking about where I'm going to get ice cream today, now that we're doing this.
That's a good thought. So
I,
there's something
yeah.
that Albert Einstein, I believe, once said, which is I'm going somewhere with this. Don't worry. Uh,
I
what we
trust
refer,
you. Trust
what
you.
what we refer to as common sense is really the collection of prejudices that we've accumulated by the age of 18. Um,
Sure.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of things that we take for granted and we just assume is normal. And when we encounter someone that exists outside of that realm of normativity, it can be shocking to us. Did you see my face when you were like, I've only had ice cream once in my life? Because that broke my brain for a second there. I was just like, what?
Yeah. I knew it
Because
would.
I've
I knew it
never
would break
met
both of
anyone
your
that's like,
brains.
ice cream. Yeah, I had that
Ice cream
once.
there.
I
Like every
astounded.
time.
I agree with you.
Yeah, like here's the thing. I knew both of you would react that way. That's why I was freaking mad. I
We're
know a
not
lot of
mad
the
at
audience
you, but
as
it
well.
is very
I
strange.
know it
It,
is
it,
very. I know you're not mad. It's like it is strange, and I know it's strange. That's why I was awkward about it. But
Mark, I'm going to make you feel better. I got you back here. Okay.
yeah.
I have never been a soda drinker at all. I
Cool.
hardly ever drink soda. Never. My attitude is when I was a kid, if I couldn't gulp it down really easily, I didn't want to drink it. So anything that was bubbly, I didn't like.
I mean, who would be a soda drinker, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't
Who
make
would
any.
By the
ever
way, I
eat?
don't like Coke. It's just what Aldi's has. I'm a Pepsi guy.
Oh, I see.
Who would ever eat Coca-Cola on stream, as they say, soda?
When,
Anyway.
and when I was a kid, I was a weird eater. My
Yes, that's what I
favorite
said
snacks
because I'm
were
tired. Okay.
iceberg lettuce and tomatoes. I didn't like candy unless it was a
Yeah.
good cream chocolate, a milk chocolate. Now I'm a dark chocolate guy. But I
Dark
mean,
chocolate's really
Yeah.
good.
I was my eating habits were way weirder than you think yours were. Or I
Yeah.
can.
I will say, similar to Mark, I also tend to like what a lot of people consider as bland food. My staple food growing up was boiled hot dogs. I would throw like four of them back at a time, especially once I started puberty. Nowadays, it's pizza. Well, because I was like anorexic when I was a kid. 10 years old, I was like 75 pounds.
Wow.
And then puberty hit, and now I'm a human garbage disposal. My metabolism runs so fast. And I used to wonder, like, how can I eat so much ridiculous amounts of food and still like have a decent weight? I'm only like 210 or something like that. But I found out when I was actually with my previous partner. At one point, she stopped wanting to sleep in bed next to me, and I started being like, "Oh my god, did I do something wrong? Did I upset you?" She's like, "No, no, no, but I can't sleep next to you because your body runs like a nuclear reactor when you're asleep." And so I was like, "Oh, that's where it goes. Got it." Uh,
Interesting.
but yeah, it's hot dogs, it's rice with butter and salt, grilled cheese, uh, pizza is my big thing these days. I eat pizza like every single day. Um, so it's very pepperoni pizza. I don't do like supreme pizzas or anything because I don't eat vegetables and I don't eat fruits and I don't eat most like foreign foods, air quotes, right? Like I don't eat Mexican food, I don't eat Chinese food, stuff like that.
I'm a
Um,
Chinese and Thai food freak. I could eat it every day.
from what I understand, people that enjoy it love it to death, and I'm so happy for them. I just can't. There was one time when my friends and I we were in high school. So again, I was doing better socially at this point, but I was still behind others. There was still a lot of social faux pas I was making, and we they were there was 4 of us in the car. The other 3 are like, let's stop at the Chinese food place, and I go in and I'm just sitting there, and they're like, aren't you going to be hungry? I'm like, yeah, but I can't order any of this food. I can't eat it. And they're like, well, there's a McDonald's right across the street. Just get some. They were fucking with me, and I didn't know. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'll be right back. And I went and I got McDonald's and I brought it back in. And I think this little old Chinese lady was like cursing me under her breath. And only then did I realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't have brought in another restaurant's food in here. Oops. So, yeah, but that's just how I eat. So I get it. I totally understand.
I've done that sometimes as well.
All right. Well,
I just never tell the cashier.
We've been doing this for about 2 hours. I think now would be a good.
We started about 20 minutes in.
We started about 20 minutes in. It's true, but still, we've been here for a while.
But we've done all the voices. Or the that tells you it's time to wrap up. We've done all the questions.
Yep, we did all the questions.
We did the questions, and I think we've had a really good conversation. So
I think we've talked a lot.
You guys are terrific. I wish you the best of luck on this. I think you're really good. You do listen and react and have lots of great insight. And boy, you know your Kingdom Hearts inside.
And we do. Thank
More
you so
than
much.
We want to.
Almost means, as well as I know my ice cream.
That's true. Yeah. It means a lot to hear you say that. Joe, we do want to thank you because you have been an amazing first guest. You've been so polite and honestly, you didn't need to do this. We're pretty much nobodies, but
we are literally nobodies. Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my god.
But I did want to thank you. It means a lot. The fact that you look out for up and comers.
It was my pleasure and honor, truly, guys.
Thank you.
And if there's anything I can do to help you. You're terrific, and I wish you the best success. And I'll come back if you want me to come back and play again.
I would love to. If there's another game that comes out that you're in or something big, we'll invite you back. And also, we might just invite you back just to talk about ice cream making one day.
I think
a new tier list.
It's break up all the Kingdom Hearts stuff and just have an ice cream episode.
Yeah, I'd be down with it.
I want to watch you have your second ice cream experience.
All right.
That's a great content idea. A guy who's only ever had ice cream once eats ice cream.
Yes.
All right. I'll knew that.
A choice of flavors, and we lay them out.
Oh, Joe, you and I should collaborate on like different things for him to try.
Yeah.
I'm in.
You guys can do that. I am totally for that. Yeah.
So
I'd love to do that.
This is obviously going to be our first time wrapping up. So I gotta sort of run through like my head the things to say. Oh, Joe, is there anything that you wanted to plug? Is there any like social media or any project?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and the former Twitter, now X, which I'm not on that much, but it's there. And it's Joe
I'll call it Twitter. It's fine.
Yeah, at Joe Ochman, JoeOchman. And Facebook, if people still use Facebook, there's a Joe Ochman actor page you can follow. And do I have anything to plug right now? No. We're in the middle of a strike, not plugging a lot. But I'm so
That's true.
Yeah, just keep.
Not allowed to. Yeah.
The thing to do is the fun thing is to look me up on IMDb as I know Mark did, and be surprised. It's always fun to watch people watch the list and they go, "Really, he did that? What?"
I do that a lot, honestly. I'll go on like Wikipedia pages or whatever of different voice actors and be like, "Oh my god, I never realized that they did this as well." I love it.
I like behind the voice actor a lot, but the IMDb thing that's fun is you can actually look at the very top and it'll tell you how many credits there are, and you get to a point where it's big. You sort of look, "No, really?
Oh god,
really? What?
700? What?
Yeah, how many times have I done this?"
Mark, do you have a specific like social media or anything that you wanted to plug for yourself?
I just remembered I have another one.
Okay.
On Friday, is it the 29th? On the 29th, actually. 29th at I think it's 3:00. I'm doing a Streamily signing. Although this podcast may not be out by then, so it may not matter.
I can try to get it out in a few days.
Yeah, we can try to get out before then. Yeah.
I'm doing a live signing on Streamly. I'll be signing autographs from various things.
That'd be cool.
From Life is Strange and from Hunter x Hunter and from
Really?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and from
Awesome, man.
and a bunch of other stuff I've done. So look it up. Go to Streamly.com. There's a whole list. There's a whole list of people who are doing those sorts of things, and I'm on it.
All right, cool.
Awesome, man.
Mark,
So,
did you have one that you wanted to plug for yourself?
I don't know, man. People block me on Twitter all the time. I don't know if I should play it.
Mark will be eating
No,
on this podcast next week.
Yeah.
yes, I will.
Every
you can
episode
follow
we're gonna have
me.
you eat
It's
a
the
different flavor.
two-part Joe Ochman interview. Part 2 is the ice cream episode.
I would love
Yep,
that, honestly.
exactly. I really do. I genuinely want to do that. Yes. Well, not in that. It'll be like a milestone episode, maybe like episode 20 or 10 or something. We'll do that.
I'm in.
I'll reach out again. Yeah. Okay. I got Mark Creation Studios. That's where I do my stop motions. Obviously, I haven't done stop motions in years. But they're there, and I do still plan on doing more. If any of my subscribers see this, yes, I'm still doing stop motions. Just taking a while. I also have Mark Creations KH, where I do meme videos. I've done a little bit of AI voices. I'm sorry to say that because I know that's a very controversial thing for
Yeah,
AI actors.
I'm also against you on that. How dare you?
I know, but it was only for 2 little meme videos, and I'm not doing any more of them. I did them right when the AI trend started, and I was like, "Oh, I
That
want to
makes
get on
sense
that
then.
trend." And then everybody was like, "Fuck AI." I was like, "I've already done these episodes.
Yeah.
I may as well release
If you
them."
did it in ignorance instead of malicious
It's
intent,
okay.
then it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 1 left to upload, and once I do that, I'm never doing it again. So,
Of course, I mean, the big issue, by the way, in that is ask for permission from the person you're using as your resource,
exactly.
and
Yeah, exactly.
and of course compensation. Which in your case, I think you'd only have to give them ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. I won't give them ice cream though.
It's our
But
main
yeah,
mode of
it's
currency on this podcast.
yeah. So I'm a little worried that some voice actors might look at that channel and be like, oh, he does AI voices. Oh, fuck him. It's like, no, I'm not pro AI voices. I hopped on the trend when it first started, and then I uploaded
That's
the videos
understandable.
after because I was like, you know what? I did so much work on these, I may as well.
Yeah, I won't lie.
Anyway.
When the whole like AI art thing first started, I was using Wombo or whatever, and I was making a few things, and then it came to my attention that it was stealing the work of actual artists, and I was like, oh well, fuck this then. I'm not going to keep using it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, it's stealing work? Yeah.
Social media, everybody jumps on whatever the current thing is.
Yeah. It's one of the unfortunate things is that we don't always know.
If you went to a friend of yours and said, look, I want to make an AI, can I use your voice? And they said yes, and you gave them $1, I'm sure it'd be fine.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
It's how you source it that's the issue, because it's here. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
Corporations have realized that they can make a whole bunch of money on it. They're going to do it.
That's one of the things is I think a lot of people tend to be anti progression in especially technological aspects in our society. Like one of the big things is people are against automation. It's like you really shouldn't be against the progression of technology. What you should be against is inappropriate not morality. What's the word I'm looking for? It's
inappropriate uses.
Morality counts too.
Yeah, like ethics, ethical use of new proprietary technologies. There needs to be a certain code of conduct and guidelines, and corporations, they don't really like that sort of thing, so they don't do it. But
money.
Money.
I will say you can find me on Tumblr. I'm I believe Beyond Blue 2 on there. Let me double check. But also I have a Blue Sky now. Isn't that amazing? I am Beyond Blue 2 on Tumblr. I'm just Beyond Blue on Blue Sky. Obviously Cape Corner, my podcast. We're nearing the episode 100 where we're going to talk about Batman. I've been saving Batman for episode 100 specifically, and that's probably going to be like a 4-hour episode.
I'm going to have to go to the podcast.
What's that?
I'm gonna have to go listen to this podcast.
Oh, I would love that if you did. Thank you. That would mean a lot. Well, the good part is that because every episode is about a specific character, you don't have to be like, oh, I didn't watch this TV show, but I really like, I don't know, Robin from Batman and Robin, so I don't know if I should listen to it. No, I would have a Robin centric episode, or I have a Transformers episode where I'm a lot of times what I'll do is, because I have two co-hosts, I'll pick one that doesn't know about the property that I'm talking about so I can describe it to them. So I think I described Transformers to my co-host Jay. There's a lot of fun stuff on there. So you can just pick one episode that you think you might like and listen to that. But this is also I'm not 100% certain yet. But I'm fairly certain that this podcast is going to be part of the Hall of Pods podcast network, which is a very small podcast network that I helped put together. It's Cape Corner, the Fandom Optimists, which another of my co-hosts, Jordan, runs, the SJW Comic Book Club, and True Believers, a comic book podcast. Pretty much, we just shout each other out at the end of episodes and say, hey, those guys are all pretty cool. You should go give them a listen. If this doesn't wind up being an official podcast of that network, I'm still shouting them out and say they're all pretty cool. You should listen to them.
It's the start of a dynasty. So, they will be the major podcast network.
I will know I've made it when I sell one T-shirt.
So one thing that I wanted to do at the end of every episode is I want to call out one Kingdom Hearts creator out there. And I think Blue knows the one that I'm going to do first, because this is the one that obviously got me and Blue to know each other. Is right here. I don't know if it's showing for you guys, but this is Corn Games.
Yeah, we can.
He does Kingdom Hearts playthroughs. He does playthroughs of. I actually don't know what else he does playthroughs of.
He's been doing Final Fantasy 16. He's been doing a childhood video game series, Legend of Zelda games like Majora's Mask, Resident Evil. He has a little catalog of different things he's been doing, but one of the big draws is again that he never played Kingdom Hearts before. He only just started like 2 years ago, and he's on Kingdom Hearts 3 right now.
Really fun. And he's really fun. He's one of my favorite creators, even though he's newer in the Kingdom Hearts verse. He hasn't finished the games yet. He's still in 3.
He's a lovely person. He is so sweet and so uplifting.
I love him.
And he's got 3,000 subscribers now. I met him when he had like 500. So he is also.
I met him when he was like 200, maybe.
Yeah, you're more of a vet than I am. But I think that's going to about do it. So one last time, Joe, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on.
It's been a pleasure being on. Thank you very much for inviting me, you guys.
Of course.
And until the ice cream episode, I shall
all right
into what you're doing.
I hope to see you later, man.
Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Have a good one.
See you later.